How's it going today? So today we're going to go over splitting knotted wood. Um, this is typically wood you're going to find at the top part of the trees where there's going to be a lot more branches and a lot more places that, different parts of the tree is grown in different directions. So one of the most important things when you're actually trying to split this wood is typically trying to, of course, get it flat. So both edges are flat. It makes it easier to actually get a good striking surface and a good bite usually if you can get enough strikes into it. Um, I like using mauls typically for this to try to get an indention because a lot of the time the splitting axe doesn't work very well due to it just doesn't pack enough punch. Really, the maul doesn't either. I have to use a wedge most of the time, based on the knots just not allowing me to get that good solid strike through basically. So over time, um, as I try to create that indention with the maul, once it's like a good enough size, I'll then try to use the wedge and drive it through. The wedge is typically the most reliable for this as you're able to isolate it a little bit more and you don't have to worry about missing where your blade's hitting as much because it's a wedge and it's just stuck in the tree. After actually cutting the log or splitting it, it's gonna take more than just a splitting axe typically to actually keep cutting it, even after getting a good amount of it taken apart. Because even that small log that I was dealing with right there, it takes me many more swings and hits than it would like a normal log that's 3 times its size without any knots, just in the way that the wood is bound together through the knots and it's nothing like a normal like log just because of all those different grooves that kind of hold them together like Legos. One of the telltale signs that you're actually splitting wood that probably has a knot internally is when you're hitting it a lot, you're going to realize it's going to be a lot more springy. Um, you can kind of see this when I'm hitting with the splitting axe, it just bounces right off. That also could be because of the less weight of the splitting axe, but I see that a lot more with wood that's knotted than I do with unknotted wood. This is the reason that I use a maul a lot more than I use a splitting axe when I'm cutting this kind of wood because it's just much more reliable. And also the reason that if it does bounce a lot, even with a maul, I'm just going to go straight to the wedge because I know that it's going to be a pain in the butt anyway. So just solve the problem faster. So when you're splitting the knotted wood, occasionally you're going to have a problem where it's going to be leaning heavily on one side. This is pretty normal, honestly. It's going to be hard to really say that it's going to stand up perfectly, usually because it's going to be balance issues and whatnot. So sometimes you'll have to get it, propped up on something on the platform log, or sometimes you'll have to get like a wood chip or something to jam up under it, try to level it out. No. When you see that I'm smashing my hand on the handle or the arm of the splitting axe, you'll realize that I pay attention to the axe head and the handle because it's already loose significantly. And doing what I'm doing right now makes it far more prone to actually break off because I'm just putting all the force right in the groove where it actually holds the axe head. So that is, I'm not going to recommend doing what I'm doing here, but it is a way to free the axe from the log. What you saw me doing after actually getting it free from that log is trying to smash the axe head back into place without smashing the axe head. It's by using gravity mostly and slippage from the axe, so that when I hit the log, it sends a shock basically up to the axe head, and maybe it'll wiggle a little bit, but generally it'll fall or slowly fall down the the hammer. The, yep, words. Another thing you'll realize when you're actually splitting this wood is that sometimes, even though it might not be the size that you want it, it will not split any further with manual like tools. Maybe if you wanted to put extra effort into it and like use a wedge, it could work. But typically, sometimes when you get to certain sizes, as you might have a little bit of a weird shape, but sometimes you have to just realize that. Very quickly after I started hitting this log with a maul, I realized I would need a wedge because every time you hit it, it fell. Um, the log was angled in a way that even when I tried to get a good strike, it wasn't gonna bite due to the angle that it was at. So went straight to the wedge, um, and you'll notice it's still gonna take a while to get through this log, even with wedges. And I'm doing this at 5 times speed. So it's very frustrating at sometimes with the knotted wood. It can be a real pain in the butt. And I swear, a log 2 times the size of this log, I would split it in half the time with those wedges. Actually, a quarter of the time. Yeah.
Holy shnikes.
This log is actually way more annoying than I thought, due to its bend. When I was splitting it, when it was a full log, it at least had some stability. But after I realized that it was not going to split normally, I kind of just gave up. I then attempted to use the maul and then the wedge, but those were to no avail from trying to split it traditionally. I then tried to put it on its side and really only ended up destroying the piece of wood, so I wouldn't recommend that either, but I don't know, it was a way of trying it. Quickly realized that I wouldn't be able to actually split this log, and I kind of just threw it to the side, as I know that we're supposed to be getting our neighbor's splitter sometime soon. So I just put it to the side, and I'll split it with the actual splitter, and I'll work on something different. The same thing goes for this log, as immediately as I hit it, I realized it was going to take the same amount of effort to get absolutely nowhere. And I decided to also throw it to the side because this log was just not going to be split manually. In the end, with most of these logs that are knotted, it's going to take a lot more time to split it manually. I would recommend just using a pneumatic / like a motorized splitter, as that's going to be a lot more effective and actually be able to make a difference when you're trying to split the wood that's going to be a pain to balance. And that's about it. Thanks for sticking it out through this video. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Um, Thanks again for your support, and have a great day. Thank you again. See you later.